So Tejo is Valorant's newest addition to the roster, and he is a mean, lean fighting machine. Easily one of the most explosive agents in the game, Tejo is really taking the scene by storm, and it's about time that we tell you how to play him. Luckily, you're in good hands. I got the honor of playtesting the new guy early and have been queuing dozens of games on the ladder since, so that I can make sure to bring you guys the only Tejo guide that you'll ever need. So lock in, get ready, because this is going to be a treat. Let's start with Guided Salvo. This ability gives you a Brimstone-style tablet where you can launch 2 missiles that you can target independently. Each missile does damage in 3 ticks with enough damage from 1 missile to kill an enemy caught in its radius. Now, they do have a travel time, and the further your target is, the longer that they will take to reach it. This is important because your enemies will see the target locations before impact, giving them time to adjust. Due to its travel time, this ability is mostly used for zoning purposes rather than actually for kills. Your opponents will also see where the missiles are coming from, which means that it isn't really an ability that you want to use if you're trying to stay hidden. This feature especially makes Tejo a pretty garbage lurker. Now, Guided Salvo can also be used for breaking doors on maps like Ascent, Lotus, and Abyss, which can be pretty useful for catching enemies off guard or even manipulating the map to your advantage. Being able to break open a door and create a whole new route for attack can oftentimes create a lot of issues for your opponents, but its main strength comes from combining it with other abilities. Try combining these missiles with an Astra Suck, Breach Stun, or even a Sage Slow, and you will see just how powerful they can really be. Easily, you'll find they can be twice as lethal. For example, take a look at this round from a game that I played in a SkillCapped custom game that we ran in our community Discord. Now, I'm playing Breach in this clip, and you'll see that I use my fault line on the jump up box at the same time that you'll see for my teammate Tejo, they combo their missiles as well, basically just netting us a free kill. This combo is super deadly, and the cool thing is with Breach, both of your cooldowns are 40 seconds, so they are pretty much lined up perfectly every time if you want to use them together. It's also worth noting that this ability can be used to break enemy utility as well.
Oh no, what am I gonna do? Oh no, how dare they KJ ults? Oh shoot, no, that's so aww.
Including things like Killjoy's ultimate, Killjoy's turret, Cypher's tripwires, alarm bots, and pretty much anything that you can name. This adds a layer of depth to Tejo's play since you can oftentimes default his missiles at the start of rounds to clear Sentinel utility and force them to adapt their setups a bit more. Now keep in mind that Tejo really is a fighter, and if you want to play him, you've got to feel comfortable in the ring. Come to think of it though, for some of you that might sound a bit scary. Maybe you aren't really the fighting type, but you still really like Tejo's aesthetic and want to give them a shot. Well, the good news is that anyone is capable of achieving good aim. 15 years ago, a lot of people just thought that aim was a genetics thing, but that's pretty much been debunked. There are correct things to be doing when you're aiming and incorrect things that every player should be practicing. That's exactly what we cover in our hour-long Aim God Masterclass over at SkillCapped, where we will teach you everything that you need to know about aiming so that you can stop looking like this and start looking like this. Listen, I'm not going to turn you into 10s, but we will get your aim to an immortal level so that you can start competing against some of the best players in the game. And the best part is we will do it for pretty cheap. Some coaches out there are charging literally 4 figures just to get you out of bronze. Don't waste your money on that. We've got all you need right here. And the best part is we offer a rank improvement guarantee. So if you don't climb, you don't pay. Check it out using the link below for a discount today. And other than that, let's get into the rest of his kit. Next up is Special Delivery, Tejo's stun ability. This grenade launches from his arm in a more or less straight line and sticks to the first surface that it hits. You can also add a bounce to this by right-clicking, similar to how you would use a Sova dart. Now keep in mind that the stun isn't massive, so it's definitely going to take some practice to use, but I want to emphasize that this ability should not be underestimated. It's incredibly fast to deploy, and not only that, but your gun pullout time afterwards is also incredibly fast. You can use this ability just before swinging a corner, and it basically will give you a free kill with how fast it is to deploy. This is also an excellent support tool because of how far ranged it can be fired. If you see a teammate in the distance and you want to help them out, you can easily fire this off and assist them for their next duel. Also, don't forget about the combo potential with this ability and your missiles. For example, stunning an enemy in a corner before using Guided Salvo can basically lead to a free kill. It's an incredibly simple ability that just proves to be insanely effective. Take a look at a few of these clips of me getting value out of this ability. In this first clip, I see that the Cypher is scaling up Tortuga, so I use my special delivery against the wall where he's walking, and instantly am able to swing out and get that free kill. In this next clip, I utilize the bounce function to stun the enemy Tejo as he's trying to get an isolated fight on my teammate. This gives me the safety I need to scale up and trade without having to worry about being turned on. And in this next clip, I use special delivery to once again buy myself time to scale up safely, once again without having to worry about being swung. I think you'll find that most often this is the best use for this ability. As it's so quick to deploy, if you want to close a gap on an enemy without worrying about them peeking you, you can quickly fire off your stun while running and use that short window to close the distance on your opponent. You'll see me doing this pretty much all of the time, just like here and here. Now for his last basic ability, Stealth Drone. This is a stealth drone with very little HP. No joke, it'll die to pretty much anything instantly. Once it gets within a few meters of the enemies, it'll become visible and then they can shoot it. So if you want to get the most benefit out of this, you want to detonate the drone as soon as you're in view of enemies. Once detonated, pretty much anything in line of sight of the drone will be suppressed and tagged, similar to how a Cypher ult will tag somebody. It's also worth mentioning that enemies can hear the drone because it's fairly loud, and as soon as you spot them, they'll get an audio cue even if you don't tag them. This suppression effect is particularly useful against Sentinels as it can disable their defensive utility and help your team push onto site. So if you do land a tag while pushing site onto the enemy Cypher, be sure to let your team know that his trips are down. It's also incredibly effective versus ultimate abilities such as Raze's Showstopper, Jet's Blade Storm, Chamber's Rendezvous, or Neon's Overdrive. Yo, they have no guns, they have no guns! Because nobody really wants to use their limited ammo weapon to destroy a drone, this proves to be incredibly powerful and definitely worth saving for key moments like this. Finally, it's worth mentioning that you're vulnerable during your drone, similar to other agents who have drones, so just be sure that you're safe before using it. Enemy Tejos, Breaches, Brimstones, and even Sovas may look to target you during this period of vulnerability, so if you see some sort of dangerous utility coming your way, it could be best to cancel early just to be safe. Finally, let's cover Tejo's ultimate ability, Armageddon. Now this is a massive carpet bomb that costs 8 ultimate points. The area of effect is comparable to an ISO ultimate in size, and once activated, it essentially creates a zone where anyone inside will die. There's not really much more to it than that, it just completely bombs an area of the map. Now, although the first thing that players may think about is obviously the kill potential with this ability, note that the strike moves relatively slowly and is fairly avoidable. You won't be using Armageddon to get kills all that often, rather it is mostly effective once again as a zoning tool. You get to choose one area of the map and say, clear out boys, I'm coming in. That being said, there are some areas where this ability is more effective than others. For example, areas with tight choke points where enemies can't exactly find corners to hide away while the strike is going off can be really effective. You'll also want to consider comboing Armageddon with Guided Salvo to create even less area for your opponents to stand. If you take a look at this clip, you'll notice that I use my missiles to force the enemy team into the back of Hookah, and then I immediately combo Armageddon into the exact spot that I forced them to, followed by a teleport to seal the deal. The missiles had to travel a pretty long distance to get there, so they lasted long enough to make the Armageddon lethal. This is a good combo that you can steal for your own games. Another min-max element that you may want to consider when using Armageddon is that you can choose which direction it travels. Sometimes it's better to place it so that it travels towards where your opponents might be playing, rather than away so that it can actually box them in. If you have it travel with them, then there is a chance that they could be able to run and escape with it, but instead, if you have it cut off their escape route, you'll force them between a rock and a hard place. Remember that you can see exactly how far the ability will reach by looking at the circle indicator when placing it. This way, you'll always be sure to hit exactly where you want. Now let's take a look at a few clips from professional player Saucy and see how he's been utilizing Tejo in rank. To start out, we'll be taking a look at how he combos Tejo's utility with his teammates at the start of rounds to help his team take map control. Because Tejo's missiles refresh every 40 seconds, you get a ton of value out of them by just using them on cooldown. This means that you could sometimes get 2, even 3 missile strikes off in a round. That's why you'll often see initiator players will open up the round with a play like this. Saucy drops his missiles in A main, and at the same time, his breach is going to stun the entrance to ensure that they can't actually escape his strike. You'll notice during this combo, Saucy lets his breach stun first so that his opponents have less time to react to the missile strike and move. If Tejo leads first, then his opponents will have a moment where they are not stunned to quickly try and reposition. The timing of this matters, and it's oftentimes the difference between you landing a kill with your utility or just giving your opponents a minor heart attack. Now you'll see Saucy actually runs the same combo later in the game, but this time utilizing a Brimstone ultimate along with it. Breach is still stunning, he's still using his missiles, but now Brimstone's ultimate is going to cover any gaps that this utility might miss. This combo is gross, and really annoying to deal with from the enemy's perspective. Trust me, I've seen something really similar. That was horrible. Oh my god. Keep in mind that many of these clips are going to be played out on defense. You may have heard the phrase, the best defense is a good offense, and in Valorant, that's sometimes the case. On maps where there is a lot of different options for the attackers, it can oftentimes make it much easier to defend if we're able to fight for some space and limit the options for those attackers. You'll see the same tactic deployed on Lotus, where many teams love to fight for A rubble. You'll notice Saucy does the same fight for a large part of his team's defense, but this round just ends up being a little bit more eventful. He combos his missiles on the exit from A lobby along with an Omen Blind and a Fade Haunt, and even his Raises paint shells. This feels like a lot of utility invested into fighting A, but that just goes to show you how important fighting is with a double initiator comp like this. After Saucy sees the enemy has made it out towards rubble, he fires his special delivery with a quick bounce to prevent a swing, and then uses that time that he bought himself to scale up and find a better angle to fight the smoke. After taking rubble, all Saucy has to do is hold the smoke and let his aim do the rest. With this util dump, him and his team were able to effectively secure the kills that they needed to win the round. Now finally, I figured that we wrap up this video by taking a look at a few ult rounds for Saucy. In this clip, you'll see Saucy uses his ultimate to strike tower, but interestingly enough, he actually leaves some gaps in the ability. This is completely intentional though, and as you'll see, he immediately follows it up with guided salvo, striking the 2 remaining positions that his opponents might try to avoid the strike. Clearly well played by Saucy, and it easily ends up picking himself up a free kill. I think this goes to show as well that if you leave gaps in your ultimate for enemies to seek cover, they will find them. Your opponents easily have enough time to reposition, so basically anytime there's an opening, try to take note of it and don't get caught off guard when you find an enemy there. This ult covers so much area, and it's very likely that there's enemies wherever you ult, so if you don't get a kill, it's likely that somebody avoided it. As you see in this clip, Saucy quickly looks to ult C site, and then immediately after is swung from the corner that his ult missed. Sometimes it is better to get a quick ult off rather than finding the perfect ult, but just be aware of the gaps that you leave and be sure to call them out to your teammates as well so that they know. Frequently though, it is important to remember that your ults will end up looking just like this one. This is a super effective ultimate that hits basically all of the common positions a defender might look to play from. It's not going to box anyone in, it's probably not going to get any kills, but it will get your team the site for free, which is all that you really need most of the time. Alright though guys, before we wrap this up, let me tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and we think that is a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing that you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered you that. Not us though, we've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well in fact that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into over 50 courses, no one can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with our subscribers in Discord so that you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to all questions asked. Not only that, but we've also been running community in-houses throughout the week where you can learn with players just like yourself. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. And other than that, that is going to be all for this one today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Casey, and we will catch you in the next one.